Over the years, Bob, you've dealt with some brilliant fighters. Where does Lomachenko rank amongst them?
Well, he's the greatest technical fighter that I've seen since Muhammad Ali, since the early Muhammad Ali. I mean, he is an absolute phenomenon. Nobody around today fights with the technical skill and ability like Loma does.
Another man with outstanding technical ability is Tyson Fury, in there against Otto Wallin in a couple of weeks' time out in Vegas. Talk to me about the choice of opponent.
Well, the one requirement that we had was it'd be a big guy, because obviously he wants to fight a big guy, which he will do when he fights Wilder for the title. Wallin was the best available guy. He's a decent fighter. He's undefeated, got a good punch, and he'll give Fury a tussle.
On to the fight at hand next year, Deontay Wilder rematch. Have we got a date lined up for that? And where do you think the location is going to be?
Well, the location is going to be in Las Vegas. That pretty much has been decided. The date is tentative, but the date that we're looking towards is February 22nd.
Moving on to the AJ Ruiz fight. Why do you think it took so long for those negotiations to get over the line? And what do you think of Saudi as a venue?
Well, with all due respect, Eddie handled the negotiations wrong. Once he wanted to go to Saudi, he gave the leverage to Ruiz, who, despite the rematch clause, could take the position that he wasn't going to go to Saudi because his own State Department, the U.S., said that it wasn't safe for Americans. So now Ruiz and his people held Eddie up for more money. How much more, I don't know, but it was more money. And the fight is on in Saudi. Morally, whether that's right or wrong is an individual decision to be made. Now, it's not illegal, and a moral question has to be answered by the person making the decision. So I'm not going to criticize Eddie for doing the fight in Saudi Arabia. If he feels it's okay to do it, fine.
Would you stage a fight in Saudi?
I'm not going to comment on that.
Okay. Moving on to the prediction itself. Do you think this is AJ's going to get revenge, or do you see a Ruiz repeat?
Ruiz repeat. I from a boxing standpoint, I felt that it was silly for Joshua to go right back into a rematch. It's going to be the same result. Ruiz is the kind of fighter that finds Joshua's vulnerability. Joshua's a straight-up fighter, doesn't like pressure. Ruiz takes a great shot, very fast hands, and I think the second fight ends like the first one.
What do you make of Eddie Hearn Hearn's and DAZN's rise in America on their streaming platform? Is competition, I guess, good for boxing?
Competition is always good for boxing, but look at the numbers. It's been a disaster. They're getting no traction with any fight except for a fighter who Eddie has nothing to do with, and that's Canelo. I mean, Canelo has done more subscribers, as the figures are now out on the DAZN, than all of Eddie's fights combined.
Finally, Bob, it's a rare opportunity we have to speak to a promoter who's been in scenes so much. I wonder if you give us a quick insight into what it was like dealing with Muhammed Ali, the champ.
Well, that's asking me how it was to promote a guy who was more my teacher than the fighter. In other words, virtually everything I learned about promoting came from him. So it was an unusual experience because everybody credits the promoter with making this and that move, but in my time with Ali, it was all the greatest of all time doing it.
Is there a particular story that stands out that really sort of sums him up as one of your charges?
Yeah, I mean, I remember after the first fight, people came up to me and said, "Hey, this was a great idea. What a great way to sell the fight. I mean, you're a genius." And I looked at them because none of it was me. It was all him. I mean, every great idea, every great poem and saying and insult to the opponent, that was all him. I can't take credit for any of it.
What was your standout moment? What was your greatest moment?
I think the greatest moment was when he fought Leon Spinks for the first time. And it was, the press really ripped it because Spinks wasn't really a recognized heavyweight of any stature, and it was clear that Ali was taking the fight for a payday. So Ali is so smart. Instead of facing the press where you get that criticism, he said he was preparing for this fight in a new way, and he took a vow of silence that he wouldn't talk about the fight. So the press wasn't able to talk to him, to demean the opponent, to demean the fight, until Ali got to Las Vegas for the last week, and then he talked to the press, and by that time and he lost the fight, by the way, and he won the rematch, but he lost that fight. But I thought that was the most genius move that anybody had made. I mean, when you don't want to talk about something, you don't tell people, I'm not talking about something. You look for a higher way to express it, and that was to take a vow of silence.
Genius. Bob Arum, thank you for speaking to the Sportsman. All the best.